Senator from Spotsylvania, Senator Houck.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rise on a point of personal privilege.
Senator has the floor.
Members of the Senate, our public schools are in serious jeopardy with this House budget. The House budget, as the Chairman of the Finance Committee just told you, cuts an additional $560-some million more out of our public schools. The chairman correctly stated that when we receive Senate Bill 30, and this is important for all of us to understand because we passed it, but embodied in Senate Bill 30 from the previous administration was over $1 billion worth of cuts in K-12. Before we ever start, before we have any consideration of the Senate amending House Bill 30, there was over $1 billion worth of cuts to K-12. Support cap positions, only funding the health care provisions as we provide in the state budget. Now, if you want to add insult to injury, if you want to do some real damage to public schools in Virginia, that budget down the hall does it. And they're trying to force your conferees to accept it. An additional $500 million cuts on top of the $1 billion already in the introduced budget. Think for just a moment what you're hearing back in your localities. Your local school boards, your local governing bodies are struggling with the same phenomena at the local level. That is why it is such a precarious time for public schools. Not only potential drastic reductions at the state level, but also at the local level. So you add those together, and Mr. President and members of the Senate, I think this is the most critical time for our public schools and its funding any time in recent history. The other thing the House budget conferees are trying to do is to pit our good public state employees and our good law enforcement employees against the teachers. In other words, they're trying to pit public safety compensation against public education. Now, the Senate budget as it left here amended, we were able to take care of all of those. And yes, there were fee increases in there to do that, but we were able to provide a good compensation package to our state employees. We funded extra deputy sheriffs, 599 funding, and we did not do it at the expense of public education. So this budget conference that's going on right now, while it's slow and it's dragging, but it's dragging for a real purpose, and that is your Senate conferees are determined not to resolve public safety and public compensation on the backs of our school children in Virginia. That's what's going on, and we're going to stand strong and we're going to fight hard for it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator.